Hello, lovely humans. Welcome to February. I genuinely cannot believe how fast time is moving. It feels like January. Where did the time go? Thank you so much for being here with me this month. Today, we're going to be talking about something I think we all struggle with, finding time for yourself. So grab a coffee, grab a snack, and let's get into it. Honestly, when you set intention and you take a step back and you're able to create safe pockets of time just for you, it can have a huge positive impact on your overall lifestyle. Over the years, I thought that possibly, doing your work first, putting your head down and getting what you needed to do done super fast and most efficiently, and then taking a minute after and having your Zen moment was the way to go. But it's not. It is not. It will make you feel disconnected and irritable and exhausted all the time. And everything's going to feel a lot harder, even if it's just a simple task. You basically burn yourself out like 2 times faster as if you were to have scheduled time for yourself. So instead of waiting for free time to magically appear or shoving it in at the end of my day, I really have found that setting intentional, safe pockets of time for me throughout my week has made my overall mood a lot more positive. The main way that I set aside time for myself is through bullet journaling. And this guy right here is my Bible. He goes with me everywhere I go. I'm going to school, I'm going to work, I'm going to my parents' house, and they're like, oh, let's do dinner next week. I don't know what's happening next week. I need to refer to this. All of my thoughts, everything I need to do goes right in this book, so I don't have to hang on to it in my head. And there's something for me about putting pen to paper that feels very grounding. It slows my brain down in a way that screens just aren't able to. Every time I open my journal, it's not so much that I'm looking at a to-do list, but it's almost like I'm checking in with myself. Now, I've tried digital planners and I've also tried apps on my phone, and they work great for some people. I've seen people thrive using these applications, but honestly, they're just not what floats my boat. And that's okay. I want to emphasize that. Use whatever plan works best for you. I've seen people use Google Calendar, which is a really useful tool, especially if you use different digital devices. It's a really easy thing to transfer. I've also seen people use digital planners. If you've got an iPad or an Android, I really like using Nebo or GoodNotes. Those are both some really great applications to kind of play around with. And then, of course, there's your physical planners, whether you get a templated one or just a blank bullet journal with dotted paper, or you could even just give a good old dollar store notebook a shot. That's how I started out before I got really into bullet journaling, and honestly, the method is not really the important part. The goal is to simply know what's coming next so your brain has a little bit of time to react. And when I don't know what my next week looks like and everything feels urgent and things are flying at me, writing things down gives my brain a second to breathe, and I find that invaluable. So this year I switched to a templated journal. I can still customize it and add colors and highlights and my little doodles of my cats, but on weeks where I'm exhausted and I don't have any spare time, I can fill it out and go and move on and know that it's being handled.
So I made a quick little spread on this sheet of paper. Like I said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a nice, easy way for you to be able to see your week, the full week ahead. So the first thing I do when I start my week off, and I know I start my weeks on Mondays. I love having a fresh start. But anyways, when I have a fresh spread in front of me, the first thing I do is put in the non-negotiables. So obviously I have work, I have class, and I have a paper due. That's stuff that I cannot move. It has to stay exactly where it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all of those things in there first. I also like to include some notes as to what's coming next week, just so that nothing sneaks up on me. So for example, you'll see on Monday, I'm working 9 to 5. That is a very long day. So I wanna make sure that on Sunday, I perhaps have some meals prepped so that I don't have to worry about cooking, or I have lots of snacks available so that I don't go hungry all day. I have a paper due coming up on Wednesday, so I know that that means I'm going to be sitting in one spot for a very long time. So maybe that day it would be a really good option for me to be able to, how about take a walk to the library instead of riding the bus? And when you're scheduling time for yourself, it doesn't have to be a full hour or half an hour. Sometimes I'll just put in my schedule stretch, and that just means I have to, before moving on to the next task, take a second, take a step back, do some stretches, and then come back to what I was doing. And it honestly kind of really helps put you in that positive mindset.
What really makes my journal a self-care tool is it helps me notice patterns. I can clearly see when I've scheduled everyone else in my life and take note when I've scheduled no time for myself. Once I see that on paper, it's a lot more easy to correct and fix. Even if that's only carving out 15 minutes, that's more than 15 minutes I had before. So for me, bullet journaling isn't only about productivity. It's also about creating a space for yourself, mentally and literally, so I don't burn myself out. It helps me move from reacting to my life to planning it in a way that's actually supportive and healthy for me. So those are the ways I use my bullet journal to set aside time for myself. Even with work, school, family, relationships, and pets, it is 100% possible to take care of yourself and put yourself first. It doesn't require huge changes, just intention and tools that fit your lifestyle. Thank you so much for joining me again for this month's Castin's Corner. I hope this has encouraged you to carve out a little bit of more self-care time for yourself, even if it is just a couple of minutes. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your month, and I will see you in March.